There are places in this world where the line between reality and magic blurs so softly you can't tell what's dream and what's real. Claire, an ordinary girl, unknowingly steps into a forest unlike any other, a secret kingdom of tiny fairies, guardians of nature with shimmering wings and ancient magic. This isn't just a fairy tale. It's a journey of the heart, where Claire discovers that magic isn't locked away in stories, but can touch our lives if we choose to believe and open our hearts. Join me as we step into that world where every whisper of the forest wind carries a secret. Every flicker of a tiny flame shines with hope, and every falling leaf tells a wondrous story waiting to be told. Claire slowly woke up under the golden morning sunlight streaming gently through her bedroom window. The rays were not just light. They felt like soft threads tenderly brushing her delicate skin, inviting her to leave the deep sleep behind with a gentle whisper of a promising new day. The space around her was quiet and warm, and she felt her heart beating softly, rhythmically with each breath. She opened her eyes slightly, still, dreamy, gazing around her familiar room, where every corner still held traces of the magical dreams from the night before. Claire couldn't forget the gentle touch of soft wings brushing her cheek, tiny hands guiding her through secret paths in the forest. The images of a tiny village, a clock tower just waist high, and warm sunlight flooding every nook remained vivid in her mind. Looking down at the floor, her eyes landed on a hand-knitted, mustard yellow woolly hat. It was soft and beautifully made, still speckled with green moss, small dry leaves, and shimmering specks of fairy dust like tiny crystals from another world. Claire reached out slowly and touched the yarn with wonder, feeling a surge of certainty that the magical place she visited was not just a dream. It was part of her life. Outside, the familiar sounds of her family waking up drifted softly to her ears, the quiet hum of the coffee machine, her mother's laughter, and her father's deep voice. These simple sounds filled the room with peace, reminding Claire of the warmth and safety of home, the place that always welcomed her back after each enchanted journey. Taking a deep breath, Claire pulled back the curtains, letting the sunlight flood the room, as if urging her to prepare for a day full of magic and surprises. Beyond the window, her neighbor was walking their fluffy German shepherd, and just beyond the houses lay the forest, the place Claire always returned to when her heart called out for nature's embrace. A gentle breeze stirred, lifting the fallen leaves into a swirling dance, inviting Claire once again toward the magical world. The feeling of wonder swept through her, weaving into every corner of her soul, lighting a fire of hope and dreams. She knew today would be different, a day to continue the journey her heart had already chosen. Without hesitation, Claire dressed quickly and packed her small backpack with essentials, granola bars, fresh fruit, and a bottle of water. All the little things she'd need for a true adventure. Her footsteps echoed softly on the path leading toward the woods, the crunch of dry leaves beneath her boots mixing with the steady rhythm of her beating heart. The peaceful scenes of Sunday mornings, a family gathered around breakfast, couples wrapped in cozy blankets, watching early morning shows, passed by like gentle snapshots of calm and love. The sunlight and soft wind seemed to guide Claire deeper into the forest, where magic never faded. She smiled to herself, filled with faith that the fairies were real and that they were waiting for her return, like old friends opening their arms to welcome her home. Claire stepped into the forest's embrace, the familiar scent of damp earth and moss wrapping around her like a soft blanket. The morning rain had left the leaves glistening, each droplet sparkling like tiny jewels resting gently on the branches and undergrowth. The trees stood tall and proud, their bark darkened and rich from the drizzle, as if they had been freshly polished by nature's tender hands. With each step, Claire felt more connected to this place, not just as a visitor, but as a part of the forest itself. The soft sponginess of moss beneath her boots, the rustle of crimson leaves drifting slowly to the ground, even the cool dampness in the air, all of it seeped into her skin, awakening a deep sense of belonging. She had walked this dirt path countless times before, but today it felt different, more alive, more vibrant. Her boots sank slightly into the wet earth, the squelching sound underfoot, a comforting rhythm in the quiet woods. She was grateful she'd worn her wellies. The mud might have swallowed ordinary shoes whole. A small voice of doubt whispered that maybe the magical world she glimpsed yesterday was just a fleeting dream, a kindness from the forest that would not last. Maybe the fairies' secret was meant to remain hidden, and today would bring only the ordinary woods she'd always known. But Claire's heart refused to surrender to such doubts. She held on to hope and love, her spirit as bright and steady as the morning sun filtering through the leaves. She told herself to keep walking, to keep believing, even if the minutes stretched like hours. Then, beneath the canopy of autumn colors, she noticed the ground change. The familiar dirt path gave way to smooth cobblestones, perfectly worn and laid with care. And there, in a small clearing, bathed in dappled light, stood the fairies. Their delicate wings shimmered in the soft sunlight, colors flickering like the finest stained glass. At the center of the group was the fairy Claire had met the day before, the one who had visited her dreams. Today, her long golden hair was braided neatly down her back, and her dress glowed with the warmth of a sunbeam itself. Claire's breath caught. The fairy's transparent wings sparkled with golden edges, catching every ray of light as she flitted closer, bringing with her a gentle warmth like a summer breeze. Claire opened her mouth to greet her, but hesitated. They hadn't yet exchanged names, and somehow words felt too small for this moment. Then the fairy spoke softly, her voice carrying the scent of warm July sunsets and gentle summer nights. "The trees have allowed you to enter once again," she said, her piercing blue eyes meeting Claire's. "Introductions are in order. I am Marigold, Queen of the Guardian Fairies." Claire smiled shyly. "I'm Claire," she replied. A human, Marigold tilted her head in curiosity, and the fairies behind her murmured among themselves. For centuries, humans and fairies had remained apart, the fairies, tending to the natural world, while humans lived unaware. Marigold recalled ancient times when humans had discovered the fairies' realm, times filled with laughter and love. Now looking at Claire's kind eyes and glowing spirit, Marigold knew this human was safe. Nodding with a warm smile, she clapped her hands. "We have much to do today. You are welcome to help." The other fairies, buzzing with excitement, quickly returned to their work, gathering leaves, twigs, and baskets. Claire watched, mesmerized, as they flitted about, the very air seeming to hum with magic. Soon a fairy with deep ocean blue eyes and delicate teal wings approached Claire timidly. "Would you like to help me collect twigs for a home?" the fairy asked softly. Claire nodded eagerly and followed her through the clearing. Neither spoke much, the silence filled only by the flutter of wing and the rustle of leaves beneath their feet. Claire chose to focus on her task, gathering twigs and pretty leaves, determined to be as helpful as possible. As she worked, Claire felt herself falling deeper into this enchanting world. The fairy led her past the towering clock tower and other busy fairies, guiding her through the heart of their little village, a place that seemed born from dreams full of warmth and joy. Claire's eyes widened with wonder as she wandered through the fairy village, a tiny magical place nestled within the heart of the forest. Every detail seemed lovingly crafted, as if nature itself had conspired to create a perfect home for these delicate beings. She saw cozy homes made of smooth pebbles and clay, their walls gently glowing with the soft light of fairy lanterns. Tiny open-air cafes dotted the village square, where fairy chefs tended to little fires, cooking fragrant meals over flickering flames. On the tiny wooden tables, rested delicate glass jars filled with fresh water, shimmering like crystal. Claire smiled in surprise when she spotted a small shop made from clay, its hand-painted sign advertising tea and even coffee. She wondered with a chuckle how fairies managed to enjoy something so human. As Claire carefully laid down the twigs she had collected beside a miniature house, she paused to take in the scene around her. 2 squirrels scurried past, pulling a wooden cart filled with tired fairies who needed a rest. The fairies smiled gratefully, their wings fluttering softly in thanks. Claire's heart swelled with affection for these tiny creatures and their joyful world. The fairy with teal wings caught Claire's thoughtful gaze and gave a playful grin, as if she could read her thoughts. Then, with a delicate tug, the fairy pulled a shimmering white string from her pouch and began wrapping it around the twigs Claire had gathered. The string sparkled brighter and brighter, glowing, as if woven from sunlight itself. Claire watched in awe as the string seemed to disappear, leaving the twigs magically bound together, as if held by invisible hands. It was a quiet kind of magic, simple, elegant, and full of wonder. For hours, Claire continued to help. She gathered acorns, leaves, shiny conkers, more twigs, and tiny stones from the forest floor. She sat beside the fairy as she worked, shaping the natural materials with gentle hands. The fairy broke stones apart and transformed them into a tiny table and chairs. She crafted curtains from leaves, their edges fluttering softly like silk in the breeze. Even the hollowed insides of conkers were scooped out to form tiny bowls. The sun moved slowly across the sky, and when the clock in the fairy village chimed 4, Claire's work was complete. She had spent a wonderful afternoon immersed in a world of magic, creativity, and friendship. Yet despite her joy, a soft tiredness settled in her bones, and she knew it was time to return home. Marigold, the queen of the fairies, seemed to sense this. She floated over gracefully, her wings shimmering with golden light. Any hesitation Marigold had once held toward Claire had vanished. She had seen the kindness and care Claire had shown all day, and her heart was full of trust. As they prepared to part ways, Marigold reached out and gently touched Claire's cheek. "Open your hand," she whispered. A fairy with delicate purple wings fluttered nearby and dropped something small into Claire's palm. Claire closed her hand tightly, hesitant to look, savoring the mystery a moment longer. With a final glance at the magical village and the sparkling fairies who called it home, Claire turned toward the woods and began her walk back. Once she was safely inside her house and about to open the front door, curiosity won. She opened her hand, and there lay a simple twig shimmering with glittering gold letters that read, "Honorary Guardian Fairy, Claire." clutched the twig close, a smile lighting her face. She held it all day, only putting it down when evening came, and it was time for bed. After showering and slipping into her pajamas, she picked the twig up again, placing it carefully under her pillow as she stared up at the glowing moon, her eyelids growing heavy. Claire made a wish to return to the forest, to the place filled with magic and fairies she had come to love. Tucked under her pillow, the twig softly glowed, and as Claire drifted into sleep, she dreamed of sparkling dust and stones transforming into tiny furniture, knowing deep in her heart that she would see the fairies again. The next morning, Claire awoke with the gentle glow of dawn filtering softly through her window. The memory of the twig, her honorary badge from the fairies, rested warmly in her heart. It was more than just a keepsake. It was a symbol of something deeper, belonging trust, and a promise of magic beyond what most could see. She touched the smooth bark of the twig once more before slipping it into her pocket. Today, she was determined to return to the woods, to the hidden world that had begun to feel like a secret home. The air outside was crisp with the freshness of early autumn leaves crunching beneath her feet as she made her way along the familiar path. As Claire entered the forest's embrace, a feeling of peace washed over her. The woods seemed alive with whispers, soft murmurs of leaves, the distant call of birds, the rustle of animals stirring awake. Every sound was a melody that harmonized perfectly with the rhythm of her heart. Walking deeper into the forest, Claire found herself drawn toward the cobblestone path. Once again, the path that had led her to the fairies' village. The sun filtered through the canopy, casting dappled light across the stones, guiding her steps, as if the forest itself were welcoming her back. Ahead, the air shimmered faintly, and the faint, sweet scent of wildflowers and honey floated gently on the breeze. Claire's heart quickened with excitement and wonder, knowing that soon she would see her friends once more. Marigold was waiting, radiant as ever, her golden dress catching the light like woven sunshine. The Queen of the Fairies smiled warmly at Claire, her eyes sparkling with kindness and a touch of mischief. "Welcome back, Claire," she said softly. "Your heart is true, and your spirit bright." Claire felt the weight of the Fairy Queen's gaze, but instead of feeling nervous, she felt seen, understood, in a way that words could not express. The village buzzed quietly with activity. Fairies danced lightly on the breeze, tending to delicate flowers, weaving petals into garlands, and humming ancient songs that seemed to carry the wisdom of the forest itself. Claire joined in, feeling the magic thrumming through her fingertips as she helped arrange bouquets and decorate the tiny homes. Every task was a joy, a thread weaving her more deeply into this enchanted tapestry. Time slipped away unnoticed, until Marigold approached again. This time, she held a small, intricately carved box made of polished wood and shimmering leaves. "This," she said, "is a gift for you. A symbol of your place here, a reminder that you are part of our world now." With careful hands, she opened the box to reveal a delicate necklace. Its pendant shaped like a tiny leaf, etched with symbols that seemed to glow faintly with ancient magic. Claire accepted the gift with reverence, feeling a warmth spread through her chest. It was more than a necklace. It was a bond, a silent promise between her and the fairies that she would always be their friend and guardian. As the sun dipped lower in the sky, casting long shadows through the trees, Claire knew she would carry this moment with her forever, a sacred memory etched in her heart. As twilight began to settle over the forest, Claire lingered in the fading light, feeling the gentle pulse of magic in the air around her. The woods seemed to breathe softly, each leaf and branch whispering secrets only the truly patient could hear. It was as if the forest itself was alive, watching over her, guiding her steps. The necklace from Marigold lay warm against her skin, a comforting reminder that she was never alone here. Claire closed her eyes and listened deep in the silence. She could almost hear the faint laughter of the fairies, the soft flutter of their wings, and the distant murmur of their songs. She wandered slowly along the cobblestone path, letting her fingers brush against the moss-covered trees. The scent of damp earth mixed with wild flowers wrapped around her like a gentle embrace, filling her with a quiet joy. Every step felt like a promise, a connection to something timeless and true. Suddenly, a soft rustle in the bushes caught her attention. Claire's breath hitched, but her heart remained steady. From the shadows emerged a tiny figure, a fairy with iridescent wings that shimmered like the surface of a bubble. The fairy's eyes sparkled with mischief and warmth as she fluttered closer. "Welcome back, Claire," she whispered, her voice like the tinkling of distant bells. "The forest has been waiting for you." Claire smiled, feeling a deep sense of peace wash over her. She knelt down to meet the fairy's gaze, and in that quiet moment, the world around them seemed to hold its breath. The fairy extended a delicate hand and handed Claire a small glowing seed. "Plant this where your heart feels strongest," she said. "It will grow with you, a living symbol of your bond to the forest and all its magic." Claire accepted the seed, cradling it gently as she rose to her feet. She looked around at the towering trees, the soft carpet of leaves beneath her, and felt a surge of gratitude. Here in this sacred place, she had found a home for her spirit. As night fell and stars began to twinkle overhead, Claire made her way back along the forest path. The necklace rested lightly against her chest, the seed safe in her hand, and her heart was full full of wonder, hope, and the quiet certainty that magic was real, and it was hers to cherish. The days that followed were filled with a quiet magic that seemed to follow Claire wherever she went. The glowing seed rested safely in a small pot by her bedroom window, basking in the soft morning light. Every day, she watched as it slowly began to sprout tiny green leaves, unfolding like a whispered secret shared only between her and the forest. At school, Claire kept the secret close to her heart. To the outside world, she was just a girl with a bright smile and a curious spirit. But inside, she carried the wonder of the fairies, the warmth of the necklace, and the gentle promise of the growing seed. Sometimes, when the world felt too noisy or overwhelming, Claire would close her eyes and imagine herself back in the forest. She could almost hear the soft flutter of wings, smell the earthy scent of moss and leaves, and feel the cool breeze brushing her cheeks. One afternoon, as she walked home through the quiet neighborhood streets, Claire spotted a fallen leaf dancing on the wind. It twirled and floated gracefully, as if guided by an unseen hand. She smiled, knowing it was a little reminder from the fairies, proof that she was never truly alone. That evening, after dinner, Claire sat by her window, tracing the delicate lines of the growing plant with her fingers. She whispered a thank you to the forest and the fairies, feeling a deep sense of gratitude for the gift of belonging. Her heart was full of hope and wonder, and as she drifted to sleep, she dreamed again of sparkling dust, tiny homes, and the gentle voices of friends who awaited her in the magical woods. The secret she kept was not just a story. It was a living bond, a connection to a world of beauty and magic that would always be part of her. Morning light filtered softly through Claire's curtains, casting gentle patterns on her walls. The small plant on her windowsill had grown a little taller, its leaves reaching towards the sun like a silent promise. Claire's heart felt light as she prepared for the day ahead, knowing that magic was woven quietly into the fabric of her everyday life. The forest called to her. Still, its whispers carried on the breeze, inviting her back to the place where time seemed to stand still. Each visit deepened her bond with the fairies and with the earth beneath her feet. She found comfort in the knowledge that some things like friendship, wonder, and hope were timeless. One afternoon, as the golden light of late afternoon wrapped the trees in warmth, Claire returned once more to the fairy village. She was greeted with smiles and gentle laughter, the fairies flitting around like living sparks of light. Marigold welcomed her with open arms, her eyes shining with pride and kindness. "You've grown," Claire Marigold said softly, "not just in years, but in spirit." Claire felt a quiet joy swell within her. she realized that the magic she had discovered was not just in the forest or the fairies, but inside herself. The courage to believe, to dream, and to care deeply was her true gift. As twilight settled, the fairies gathered around a softly glowing fire, singing ancient songs that echoed through the woods. Claire sat among them, feeling the warmth of their friendship wrap around her like a cherished cloak. She knew this was more than a moment. It was a beginning. The promise of many tomorrows filled her with hope and a peaceful certainty. No matter where life's path led, the magic of the forest, the bond with the fairies, and the light within her heart would guide her always. That night, as Claire lay in bed, the moonlight poured gently through her window, casting a silvery glow across her room. The tiny plant on her windowsill shimmered faintly, as if touched by the magic of the fairies themselves. She reached under her pillow and felt the smooth twig, the gift that had started it all. Her heart swelled with gratitude and wonder. She thought of the friends she had made, the secret world she had been welcomed into, and the promise she carried as an honorary guardian. Claire knew that this magic was not just a fleeting moment, but a lifelong journey. With a soft sigh, she closed her eyes and made a wish to protect the forest and its mysteries, to nurture the light of kindness and wonder in her own world, and to always remember that magic lives wherever there is love. As she drifted into sleep, she dreamed again of sparkling dust and tiny home, of gentle wings and whispered songs. The forest was alive in her dreams and in her heart, and somewhere in the quiet night, the twig under her pillow glowed softly, a beacon of the promise that Claire would always be a part of this enchanted world, forever a guardian, forever a friend. The magic was real, and it was hers. Thank you for joining me on Claire's magical journey with the tiny fairies. I hope this story has kindled a spark of hope and a touch of magic in your everyday life. Remember, magic isn't always grand. It's often found in peaceful moments, in the trust we hold in our hearts, and in the dreams we dare to follow. If you enjoyed this story, please like and subscribe so you won't miss the adventures to come. And feel free to share your own dreams and magic down below. I look forward to seeing you in the next stories, where wonder always awaits open hearts.